Penguin Random House Audio presents The Ultimate History of Video Games, Volume 2, Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft, and the Billion-Dollar Battle to Shape Modern Gaming, by Stephen L. Kent. Read for you by Dan Woren. I would like to dedicate this book to John Cena, not the professional wrestler, but the quiet, private individual who has granted more than 650 Make-A-Wish Foundation requests and never talks about it. Forward by Mark Cerny. There is an incredible velocity to the games business. I began my career at Atari in 1982. I was thrilled to be able to join the company. It was booming. I worked in the arcade game division, which had had a string of hits such as Asteroids, Centipede, Missile Command, and Tempest. But that wasn't the only business Atari was in. There was, of course, the Atari 2600, which was the top video game console in the world, and its line of products even included a popular home computer, the Atari 800. Just 5 years later, Atari had been broken up and the pieces sold, the victim of extreme losses. The arcade business was a shadow of its former self. Consoles were now the undisputed king, and Nintendo was the center of the gaming universe. In any other business, that would be a story of an exceptionally chaotic time. But a look at the history of video games reveals that rapid evolution throughout. Flash forward another 5 years, and Sega's Genesis had become the top console. 5 years after that, and PlayStation was making the headlines. One consequence of these swift changes is that adaptability has become key for those working in games. There aren't many old-timers, and those that remain have usually reinvented themselves several times along the way. Personally, I'm on my third career within games. I began as a programmer/game designer, then transitioned into working as a producer, and for the last decade or so, I've been designing console hardware. My advice for anyone just starting in the business is to work on as many facets of their projects as possible. Not only can it be a lot of fun, but it also increases the odds of being able to weather whatever storms may come. This rapid evolution has also empowered and liberated game creators. Blocky 2D graphics have given way to photorealism, with great impact on immersion and empathy. World simulation has progressed from modeling 2 ping-pong paddles and a ball to being able to represent New York City and its 8 million inhabitants. As for liberation, games have nearly completed their transformation from immutable objects, cartridges, discs, and so on, to digital creations, capable of reflecting the ongoing aspirations of the creators and responsive to the desires of those playing them. Needless to say, the game experience has also changed, almost beyond recognition. My favorite genre is large, story-driven action games. These didn't exist in any form 40-something years ago. It's been a tough year with the pandemic, but thanks to video games, I've been able to travel to the Pacific Northwest, medieval Japan, and the 9 realms of Norse mythology. I'm very grateful. And yet sometimes it's a little bittersweet. I can remember my youth and that marvelous sense of anticipation when a new game came to the arcades. These days we are spoiled for choice. Hundreds of games arrive each day, and our challenge has become finding the standouts worth spending our precious time on. I wouldn't want to go back, but I hope you'll forgive me when I say I miss that feeling just a little bit. Turning now to this audiobook. It covers roughly the 3rd and 4th decades of video games and does a brilliant job of communicating that velocity I've been talking about. I understand that in many ways the author was in a race against time, as memories of these critical years are fading fast. History is important. Let's be sure to capture ours. If you're in games, keep your notes. If you are playing games, then blog, vlog, or otherwise preserve your thoughts. Just as these stories have been made visible to us, we can ensure that our stories can be brought to future generations. Enjoy. Mark Cerny, October 2020. Introduction. Why on earth? While they're easy to write off as kid stuff, video games are big business, and they're about to get a lot bigger. That's why I've stayed in video games. I've loved video games. I've never stopped learning, and it's never stopped evolving. There's always been a what next, whether it's been technology, whether it's lifestyle, people's social habits, all of these things come into play. Rod Cousins, former President International, Activision, former COO International, Acclaim Entertainment, former CEO, Codemasters, CEO, Jagex. The end of an era. After struggling through the mid-1990s, video games became a craze at the end of the century. Sony's entry into the industry with the original PlayStation brought a chic sophistication to the once largely ignored fad, niche market, kids-only, nerdy world of interactive games. By this time, game sales had topped $5 billion in the United States, overtaking box office revenues. Hollywood had even produced a handful of movies about video games. Granted, 1993's Super Mario Bros. Movie was a bona fide box office disaster, and 1994's Street Fighter movie wasn't much better. Then, Angelina Jolie, very possibly the hottest name in Hollywood at the time, agreed to play Lara Croft in a Tomb Raider movie, and the future of films based on games looked brighter than ever. That sudden surge of interest in games wasn't restricted to the United States. It was worldwide. In Tokyo, video game giant Sega Enterprises occupied a modern skyscraper in an otherwise dreary neighborhood just a few short blocks from Haneda International Airport. Several floors up, newly appointed Sega CEO Shorichiro Iramajiri occupied a luxurious office beside a glass-enclosed feng shui garden. Irimajiri's company was on the move. Sega had just released a powerful new video game console. Yu Suzuki, creator of Sega's best-known arcade games, was working on Shenmue, the most expensive video game ever created. Footnote: the making of Shenmue cost an estimated $50 million. It has since been overshadowed by games such as Grand Theft Auto V and Star Wars: The Old Republic, both of which cost over $100 million. Suzuki justified the expense by pointing out that Sega could amortize the technologies developed for Shenmue by applying them in other games. After all, the video game business had entered an era of blockbusters. Halfway across Tokyo in the Meguro district, Squaresoft occupied multiple floors in the same glass and marble skyscraper as Disney's Japanese operation. Riding high on the international successes of Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII, the board of directors at Squaresoft had recently approved a project that would be even more expensive than Shenmue. They had green-lighted a Final Fantasy movie. Hironobu Sakaguchi, creator of the Final Fantasy series, wanted to create a full-length feature film based on his role-playing games, RPGs. He envisioned a film that would be neither animated nor live-action. Instead, it would be made using a cutting-edge technology that placed animated skins over live actors. This was a big deal, a Hollywood first. The cost of making that movie was originally forecast at over $50 million. The final budget was closer to $150 million. Like Sega, Square was gambling that the motion capture technologies developed for the movie could be applied to future games. Sakaguchi himself no longer lived in Japan. He'd opened Square's new film studio in Hawaii on the top floors of a posh office building overlooking Honolulu Harbor. The new digs were amazing: an entire glass wall overlooking the ocean, an indoor water feature, ultra-modern decor, and a bank of computers so...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?